Hey everybody, it's Alani Vaughn with Truly Great Life, and I am here to share a brief message of hope in this middle of winter based on ideas that are coming through the holiday that is today in the Jewish calendar, which is the holiday of Tu BiShvat, which is known as the New Year of the Trees. And this refers to the trees in the land of Israel, and it is a very interesting holiday. I'll put some links in the comments so you can look it up. But basically, it's known as New Year for the trees. Some people would say the birthday of the trees, although that's not exactly accurate. And it basically is recognizing the trees. And also, there is a custom among some to have a Seder, similar to like in Passover, where there's a festive meal with certain fruits and vegetables and foods, 7 of which refer to the 7 foods that are native, species that are native to the land of Israel. So that would include, let's see if I can remember all of them, olives and dates and figs and barley and wheat. What else am I missing? Anyways, I'll put some links in there, but there's a really nice Kabbalistic custom actually of having a Seder where we partake of these fruits and vegetables that are native to the land of Israel. It's a connection with the land of Israel. And then it's also about honoring the trees through which all of our sustenance originally came through, right? So if we go back far enough, in the biblical worldview, shall we say, you can look at trees as they were originally meant to sustain us and to give us the sustenance of everything that we needed. So when when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, they were allowed to eat from all the trees, and all of their needs were from the earth, right? So they were basically vegetarian, except for the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which they were not to touch, and we all know where that went. But in any case, what I wanted to share today is this idea of trees. You probably know that my logo is also a tree. I also have, if you can see this if you're watching the video, I wear this all the time, this tree. So a tree ring with a tree, like a tree of life symbol. And I might have mentioned in other videos this idea in Judaism as well, that a person is like a tree in the field. And so I just want to expand a little bit on this Tu BiShvat holiday, where it's cold. Depending on where you are, actually, it's cold. It may not be cold, but in any case, where the land of Israel is, where many of us are, it is winter, and it is cold, and it is shivering. And what happens in the winter is we tend to get more insular. We tend to go inward. It's not the time of necessarily full-on expression and being out in the world, because we tend to go in, right? With the seasonality of the year, and winter is one of those where, just like some animals hibernate, sometimes people hibernate. Sometimes people get more than hibernation, they get depressed because of seasonal affective disorder. It can be very hard for people to get through the winter, depending on where you live. And so when we think about the tree as a metaphor for ourselves, right, there are several aspects here. So first of all, when the tree has deep roots, when the tree is rooted, when the tree is rooted deeply, I know I'm repeating myself here, but then it can withstand the storm, right? So for yourself as a tree, how are your roots? How well rooted are you in your own identity, in your community, in your life, in your body, in your health? So there's the roots aspect, right? There's also the quality of the soil. We're experiencing some of that nowadays, where there are issues with soil and treatments of things that are grown with pesticides and everything. So it's interesting when you start thinking of the parallels or the metaphor of growth, trees, plants, earth, and then ourselves. So how are your roots? How is the soil in which your roots are hopefully firmly implanted and growing and expanding, right? So You might feel like you have really good roots, but maybe the quality of the earth that you are rooted in is toxic, or has pesticides, or has things that are not helpful. Maybe it's not watered enough, right? Maybe it's not watered enough. So think of for yourself, your roots, what you're rooted in. Are you getting enough sunlight? Are you getting enough water, nourishment? We need these things to thrive, right? We need these things to bloom, to blossom, okay? But wintertime, what happens with the trees? The leaves have fallen, right? They aren't blossoming and blooming forth with whatever fruits or flowers they may be, showing when things are in the right season, depending on the kind of tree you are, right? Are you a palm tree? Are you an oak? Are you some other kind of tree? You're gonna bloom. All right, now I'm taking this a little different way. Depending on the kind of tree you are, you will produce those fruits. You will produce those flowers. You will produce those leaves. You will produce those whatever it is in the way that you're meant to because of the kind of tree you are. So there's the general metaphor of a human is like a tree, right? And when we're well rooted and when we're in the right soil and we have the sunlight and the water and the clean air, then we can grow and bloom, right? And we can expand and we can produce and be creative, whether that is through your work or through your hobbies or through things that you give your time to, whether it's producing offspring in creative production or little children. Maybe it's work, whatever it is, right? So when we have those right conditions, our tree will grow in a healthy way. So Tu BiShvat, bringing it back. It is the new year for the tree, but it's the winter. And in the wintertime, trees look dormant, right? They look still. They look, depending on where you are, lacking their leaves, right? They're not the full, glorious, colorful tree that you're used to seeing in the spring or in the summer or, the beginning of the fall, right? When the leaves change, depending on where you are. It's like just the branches, right? Or it's thinner, right? The leaves are thinner, or the pine, whatever it is. You can imagine this. But what's going on inside of the tree? So there's the exterior and then there's the interior. And this goes for us as human beings as well. There's our exterior and what we're putting out there. And then there's the interior and what is happening. So maybe you're not as out there in the winter because of whatever reason. It's harder for you. You're not as motivated. It's cold out, dreary, more inside, more insular. Okay? Not as many shiny leaves out there for everyone to see. But it's not that you've disappeared, God forbid. It's not that you're no longer around. It's an inner time. It's an inner space. Good movie. It's an inner working through whatever the winter is bringing up for you to go in. We're living in these times where so much of it is putting it out there, putting it out there, putting it out there. And for those of us who are extroverted, being around a lot of people or doing a lot of events, that can be sustaining in the winter months. For those of us who are more introverted, it might be even more exhausting than usual because you have these waves, these cycles, right, in the seasons that encourage us to go inward. And so to have to go out might be even harder than usual when it's, sunny or warm or the weather's beautiful or whatever it is for you. So coming back to Tu BiShvat, and why is this holiday here in the middle of the winter? There's stuff going on inside. What happens now in the trees? The sap, right? The sap is starting to rise. The sap is there without getting sappy. But what is going on inside of you that is rising? What is going on inside of you that is shifting, moving, wanting to eventually maybe come out and be expressed or shared or taught or discussed? So even though you may not be doing much in an externally visible way, what is going on inside of you that maybe just pin it, right, for a later time, or journal about it so you don't lose those ideas. Oh, goodness gracious, I do hope this is still recording. My screen just went, hello. Okay, we're all here. But what is going on? What is coming up for you? And the key thing is to capture it, because eventually those could be things that you, that you express and bloom and blossom down the road. And it could be that it's a project you're working on that maybe it won't be in summertime. It would be next winter. Who knows? The point is, when you give yourself the gift and the grace and the space to listen to that sap, that flow, that energy, that intuition, those divine hits, the inspiration that's coming to you, don't dismiss them. You know, we don't need to go from 0 to 180 in 2 seconds flat, right? We don't need to go all the way to the extreme of putting it out there. Things sometimes take time to evolve and to develop and to come into being, and then it can be brought forth. And even when it's brought forth, there are changes, right? There's the first buds, there's the flowers that eventually come from those buds, there's the leaves that come, there's the changing in the colors, and then eventually there's the fall. So even within ourselves, we are not static. Like a tree, there is continuous, when we have connection and rootedness in the things that sustain us, in the energies that sustain us, with the people that support us, to the best we can find, right? Sometimes it's not that easy, and that's okay. If you go vertical to source, okay? So there's rooted in the earth and connected to source, however you understand that. I've talked about that before in some of my other videos, so hopefully that isn't too new for you. But again, on this holiday of Tu BiShvat, this new year for the tree, how can you make this a new year for you? We're already in February, so it's not the secular New Year of January. It's not the Jewish New Year that comes later in the year in the fall. But this is the new year for the tree, and you're a tree. So it's never too late. It's never too late to start making small changes or baby steps towards what you want, but you got to listen to what's going on inside. What is coming forward? What is coming up? Like the sap in the tree, right? The things that are taking place under the surface of the trunk, of the bark, of the branches, and eventually they come out. It doesn't just happen like that. So I will wrap this up with saying happy Tu BiShvat for those who celebrate. And for all of us as trees in the field, we want to withstand whatever storms come into our lives. That's one thing. And we also want to put forth what we understand our mission is here on earth, right? So connecting to what is true for you. Know what kind of tree you are. Know what kind of tree you're not. You might be born into a family of pine trees, but you are, I don't know, a coconut tree. Cuckoo for coconut. I don't know. But whatever it is, just start playing with it. We're not all meant to be doing the same thing. And again, that sap, the stuff that's going on under the surface, capture it for yourself. Find ways to honor it. You may or may not want to do something with it, but eventually all of our springtime is coming. All of our summers are coming. All of our opportunities to share really the gifts from inside of each of us is coming. And so having the courage to explore that and to risk looking kind of maybe foolish in the eyes of some, or silly in the eyes of others, or just not relatable, be willing to wave that, be your tree and know that some people will not seek shade in it. Be your tree and know that some people really like other kinds of trees, and that is okay. So I know it's winter, but spring is coming, and if you know the song The Rose by Bette Midler, that's maybe like a good theme song for today. Because, oh goodness, let's see if I can remember the words. No, I'm not remembering the words, but at the end it's In the spring with the love song. No, I'm messing that up. In the spring with the sun's love. No, I'm messing it up. I will put it in the notes, but basically look up the song The Rose by Bette Midler, and it's about how there's a seed, it's buried by the snow, it isn't seen, it's freezing cold, but with the coming of the sun, with the melting of the snows, that seed will become a rose. So it's not exactly a tree, it's a rose. But you get what what I'm saying here. Anyways, happy Tu BiShvat for everyone celebrating, and be a happy tree. Ooh, Bob Ross, like happy little trees. That's what we're all here to be. Our own happy little tree. I'll sign off with that. Take care, guys. See you next time.